Hey, in this video, I want to take you on a short learning journey I've been on to get some assistance on what I'm trying to do, and also to get some different perspectives or ideas. The goal is simple, but apparently not very easy. I just want to take the Blazor Server App example template provided by Visual Studio with the authentication and authorization enabled, which means that it just creates the identity API tables for you, which is nice. I'll show you that in a minute. But then I want to do development inside containers. And in VS Code, there's an extension called dev containers that allow us to do this. So I was interested in seeing how it worked. I've made a little bit of progress, but still need some assistance, I think. And then lastly, I'd like to be able to deploy those containers, multiple containers, inside the new Microsoft Azure Managed App Containers. This feature is supposed to be pretty nice in the fact that it hides all that the orchestration code that you need to write for the infrastructure to use multiple containers. So this would be good for like microservices and just, your general multi-tier app. That's, the three layers of UI, business, and data. As you can see, I'll be working with some old tech, and just keep that in mind. That might be some of the issues I'm running across. Now I'm going to do a demo, just a quick one on the app itself, just to explain a few things. Okay, here I am in Visual Studio 2022, and I'm going to do the create new project. And then I'm going to pick Blazor Server App. And click Next here. And then right here, I'm going to change this to individual accounts. And then hit Create. I've always liked how Microsoft provides us with the example of using individual accounts for authentication. All right, now the application is created and we can just hit run. And here we are in the app. So we can go here and click the counter and do fetch data. But also, if you'll notice, you could register. So at this point, when you first run it, there is no database, but it will put it here in this instance, the local DB, MS SQL local DB. Right now, there isn't one. So when we go back to the app, we're going to hit register. And we could just put in a sample account here. Register. So now at this point, I believe it's building out the tables for the identity, and we'll look at that in a second. All right, so the database wasn't created yet, so we're going to hit Apply Migrations. And then we're going to hit Refresh. And then here, it says the app does not currently have a real email sender registered, so we got to click here to confirm your account. All right, and then we should be able to log in with our new account. logged in, and let's look at the database. If I refresh here, you'll see you'll see this database, unique database, but then you'll see a bunch of tables that gets generated because of the identity APIs. There you go. And if we right click and look at this, we'll see the user that we just created. Now I want to show you the Visual Studio Code version of the Blazor Server App template. It's different in the way it sets up the database. I'm going to create a blank project here. Go into the folder, open up a template or a terminal, and then create the new Blazor Server App template. Okay, now we have the files, and if you'll look, there's an app.db. So instead of installing it in a SQL Server instance, it creates this app.db file with all the tables in it. So that's, I believe, the only thing different. Everything else is pretty much the same. So let's go ahead and try to run this thing. Here you don't have to apply the migrations. It just makes you confirm the email, and now you can log in. Now I want to do a quick demo in VS Code of the Dev Containers extension. Okay, here we are back in VS Code, and I'm going to show you the extensions area, and this is what I installed, the Dev Containers. So when you install that, you'll get this green button over here. Make sure Docker is running. I've got it running on my Mac and VS Code on the Mac, so I'm going to click here, and I'm going to click Open Folder and Container. And then I'm going to want this folder. It's just an empty Dev Containers test folder. Now you're presented with some options here, which is kind of nice. I'm going to pick the C#.NET and MS SQL. So it's going to create two containers for me. I'm going to pick the latest, .NET 6. I'm going to the latest for Node. Just going to add PowerShell here for the heck of it. It's doing something. Okay. So you'll see here it's opening in remote. So I've got a slow Mac. So this might take a minute to finish. And here's the container. The password is capital P at SSW0RD. There you go. So this Dev Containers template created two containers for us. I don't know how to communicate between them. So that's why I'm asking for help here. These are the files that get created. So in here's that password. Let's see. If you go to Docker Compose, this is add forwarded ports. I've done this already and I still can't get to it from SSMS. Maybe I need to restart or something, or I don't know. But it would be nice to take that Blazor server template and install the identity tables in the SQL Server instance and have it communicate with the Blazor Server App. And that's what I was trying to do. Okay, so I'm going to create the Blazor template and then open it in a Docker container. So here are the files, and remember AppDB is a SQLite database that I want to move into SQL Server Containers. So we're going to use the dev container extensions down here in the lower left to reopen in container, and then pick a container template. We're going to use C# and SQL Server, which is going to generate 2 containers. And then the latest .NET version and the latest Node.js. I don't know why it needs Node, but I'm going to add PowerShell here. Click OK. Okay, now it's going to churn for a little bit. Make sure SQL Server is running. So check Explorer right there, and then make sure that's running. If I run it now, it's going to give me an error, and inside that error it's going to tell me to run this command. So I'm going to click enter. Now I can run it. I'm going to run it with the watch command, so if I make when I make changes, it'll automatically restart it. And now we can open the browser, hit advanced and proceed, and voila. So let's go ahead and make a change to this page just to watch the monitor keep up with the changes. And supposedly at this point we're in containers. We're developing in containers. So we're going to change this to Docker. Hit save, and then I'm not going to refresh the browser. I'm just going to bring it up. And watch it change automatically. There you go. And finally, once I get the identity tables installed in that SQL Server container, the second one, and then have the Blazor app communicating with it, it'd be nice to deploy it to this Azure managed app containers. And here is what the container app section in Azure looks like. So you can click here to learn more or create an app container, but it supposedly makes it easier to orchestrate multiple containers by letting Azure do it for you, but I don't know anything about it yet. So I was hoping to get some help on this too. So here are some of the issues I'm trying to work through as a summary and final slide.